करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
So we were discussing about the elements of success in the last class. This will be continuation of that. Just to recap, we said that success is always measured in terms of achievement, and the degree of success is understood when you compare one with the other. So a person is more or less successful when he is compared with other person who is either more or less successful. And then we said that there are two aspects to success. One is the external achievement and another is the internal satisfaction. The external achievement will differ from person to person. One may want to succeed by entering into an Indian cricket team, and another may want to become a prime minister or a municipal councillor, whatever be it. That differs from person to person. But the internal satisfaction or joy or happiness, that is the common denominator for all. So normally people in the world relate the internal satisfaction to the external achievement. In other words, they peg the external achievement first, as a result of which they will be happy internally. Vedanta says that these two must be de-linked. If you are able to keep yourself calm and happy from inside, then your external achievement becomes easy. And then we said success is an effect, and effect belongs to future. So the whole world which clamors for success is constantly living in the future and not in the present. So if the success is an effect, the question arises as to what is the cause. The cause for success, we said, is the action in the present, and that is where we left it for you to think whether it is action alone or is it action that is following a thought, right? So we said that your thought has the potential to fulfill itself. That is how the universe is designed. Every thought is an energy. Every thought is power packed within itself. So it draws the object of your thought, object of your desire to itself. In other words, the moment you think of something, it should happen. That is the power of the thought. And this is what is known as the law of love or law of attraction, which is happening at the mental level. Just as law of gravitation we understand at the physical level. But what we see is that it does not happen practically for us. The moment I think of money, money doesn't come to me automatically. And I mean, it is, I would say, blessing of God or blessing of nature that it doesn't sometimes happen immediately or automatically. Otherwise, because given the nature of our mind and what type of thoughts we entertain, if everything materializes immediately, we are in for serious danger. So that is also in a way blessing. But why does it not happen? It all depends on, as we said, the intensity of your thought or the power of your thought, the feeling that you add to your thought. The deeper the thought, the more is the propensity for it to manifest itself. So this is where action comes in, and action therefore becomes an integral component of success. What happens is, the moment you ask for something in the world, as I said, it must reorganize itself to present it for you. This is what we said is given in the documentary of Secret also, which is explained beautifully by Swami Ramatirtha also, 100 years back. So, when you first desire something, when you first have a thought for something, you must be very clear of what you are seeking or what you are asking. See, many people have this notion that they pray to God, but nothing seems to happen for them. They are believers, they do puja, various things that they do, but nothing seems to fructify for them. But at the same time, it could be their known person or a neighbor or somebody who does not believe in God, who may not go to temples or do rituals or puja or anything like that. But he seems to enjoy more success. Money comes to him more, or fame comes to him more, whatever is required for him comes to him more. And then this person even has a question mark whether we should worship God at all those questions come to his mind, doubts come to his mind. What we must understand here is the other person who is successful is probably very clear of what he wants from the world, what he wants from the universe. He is very sure of it. In other words, if he wants money, money is his God in that way. So his intense thought, everything is centered around money. His desires are around that. His business deals is around that. His actions are oriented towards that. So when that particular thought is intensely fed, why will it not result in success for him? On the other hand, a person who may go to temple with all good intentions, but with having half-hearted appeals and doubts. So he himself is putting barriers for himself, that whatever is his object of desire, that may not manifest itself. When you go to a restaurant, you have to be very clear of what you want to eat, right? So when the waiter comes and asks for your order, you must be clear as to what to order, whether it is a dosa or a Chinese or whatever it is. You need to be very specific and give him the order. You cannot say what is good in your restaurant, you try to bring it, or whatever you want, or look around for what others are eating. That is not the way. Suppose if you say that, the waiter will say, you decide and I'll come later. This is exactly what is with reference to what you seek from the universe. You must be clear of what you want. If you see at the practical level, even if a person seeks money, name, fame, nothing per se wrong with it, as long as it is dharmic pursuit. There are ways and means by which these are to be satisfied. It is given in the our Vedic rituals also. A person is seeking a family or a child or whatever it is. However, we may categorize it as within quote selfish desires. It doesn't matter, as long as he is pressurized by those desires, and as long as he is wanting to fulfill it dharmically, per se, there's nothing wrong with it. So, if a person wants money, he must be very clear that he wants money, and he must also be clear in terms of at least an idea as to what is the quantum of it. He cannot say as much as I wish, or greedy without any number. It can be a million, it can be a billion, but be very clear about it. That also. So that is why when the desire takes this form, it is more concrete. That is where intellect comes into play. The moment you apply yourself in it, automatically intellect will come. So the mind will not run by itself. So you must be first clear. A person, if he wants to want success in certain way, or he wants to write a book, or he wants to become a public speaker, or he wants to enter into politics, or he wants to run an industry, whatever be it, you must be very clear of what it is, and then only you can set that as a target. The moment you keep like that fixated, you have to, just as once you place the order in the restaurant, you have to just wait, because they will prepare, and you then what? So in that secret documentary, what do they say? If you recall, whoever has seen, they talk about these 3 steps: ask, believe, and receive. Ask, believe, and receive. These are the 3 steps that they say. So ask is the first step, that you be very clear of what to ask. What you want as success. What you really demand from the world. Demand in the sense, what is that you really desire. That you be very clear of. That is ask. After fixation of that, you have to have this firm belief, particularly because this is the law that is functioning. The universe is reorganizing itself for your object of desire to manifest for you. So if you have given the order in the restaurant, relax, speak with the family members or friends you have come, or watch TV there, whatever it is. You have to relax, because there is a firm belief in the back of the mind that whatever order you have said has been understood and it is getting executed. It will take time for them to cook and deliver, maybe 15-20 minutes, whatever it is. So at that point of time, you need not ask the waiter, is it getting ready, is it getting ready, or you need not peep into the kitchen to see what is happening. That is not required. Exactly like that. Once you are clear of your thought, you have to have this belief that it is getting ready for you. And then what is happening is the third stage, that you prepare yourself to receive it. That's all. It is going to be delivered to you and you receive it basically. That is where ideas like gratitude and other things come in, that you make yourself worthy enough to receive it and it is going to be delivered. That's all it is. It's as simple as 1, 2, 3 process is that. But what is the problem that we face is that once you are fixated like this, the mind doesn't keep quiet. Mind always has a tendency to crave for the result of the action, fruit of the action. So constantly it goes into the future to see whether it is coming, anxious about the results, anxious about the enjoyment of the results. So in this process, what happens is that the craving aspect of your mind is actually becoming an obstruction for your object of desire to come to you. The craving actually delays the whole process. Swami Ramatirtha again gives a brilliant example. He says, you are going in a car, let us say, and you are seated in the back seat and the driver is driving. You see, as you go along, you see your friend walking on the road in the same direction. So you want to help that friend by giving him a lift. So what you do is, the corner of the seat where you are sitting, you open the door and you call out that friend and you say, please come in, I'll take you, please come in, you are saying. And the friend is also obliging. He is coming and you are constantly saying, please come in, please come in, please come in. He is not able to come because you are seated in the very edge of the seat and you are not allowing that friend to come in, however much you want to help him. So what you must do actually, open the door, say please come in, and then withdraw yourself inside so that you provide the space for him to come in. That's all it is. It is exactly like that. The moment you fixate something, you withdraw yourself and allow that space so that the object of desire also enters you. This is what it is. But this please come in, please come in, please come in, what you say is equivalent of your craving. So as long as the craving of the mind is there and the anxiety of the result is there, it is not going to fructify. If you translate into action, it is very clear. So what is happening here? Action and thought help each other in this way only. In order to get the fruit, you have to work for it. Action is the cause, we said. But that action has to follow this thought. Now, why it should follow this thought is for this reason only. That moment you are able to engage yourself properly in the action, you are actually stopping the mind from getting into unproductive channels like worries and anxieties and craving and others. So therefore, the thought gets fixated at that level, it maintains that same intensity, and that intensity is maintained by this action. Now, if you are able to look at it from the cause and effect point of view, if action is going to bring that success, if you are actually craving and the mind is constantly being anxious about it and constantly thinking about it, you will not be able to do that action productively. What will probably take 1 hour will take 2 hours or 10 hours, depending upon your mental activity. So you will not be able to put your heart and soul into that action. And if the action is not complete, how is the fruit going to come to you? So action being the cause for success is correct. And that action has to be propelled by a deep thought. So this thought, in other words, action is nothing but the furtherance of the thought. When we talk about in Vedanta the chronology of action, we say vasana, thought, desire, action. So it is nothing but thought and action are not different from each other. It is the furtherance of thought and desire that is going to manifest as action. So thought is at the intellect level, desire is at the mind level, and action is at the body level. So if it is in the same line, straight line, it is going to fructify very easily. So action is what is going to bring success. Once you engage yourself in action properly, no force on the earth can stop that result from coming to you. So a person who is therefore confident in action will not bother about the fruit of action, which is success. A person who is not confident of the action is the one who is constantly craving, and probably he will seek extraneous help and prayers. And see, prayers has a role. If time permits, we'll cover that. And we have nothing against breaking a coconut for a Ganesha or saying a prayer, but that alone is not going to result in success. But a person who is not confident in action will fully dependent on those things, and God is not to be fooled like that. It will not happen like that. On the other hand, the person who has done his action perfectly may or may not pray to God, that is secondary, but the result for him in the way that it is sought will come automatically for him. Swami Parthasarthi, he always gives example of one of his friends in college, a person named Ishwaran, who was his close friend also in college. He says, in the college there are subjects allied to science. You have mathematics, physics, chemistry, and the second language is French, and English is the main language in Madras University when he studied Loyola College. So our Swamiji was one of the top 3-4 candidates there, or he will come in first 3-4 ranks. But the first rank is always reserved for Ishwaran. Ishwaran is the one who always gets first rank, always, in all the exams, in all the subjects. And his marks, he says, are usually 150 out of 100 in 4 subjects: physics, chemistry, maths, and French. 150 out of 100. And in English alone, he will get probably 75 or so, which will always be the first mark, because it is said in English, even if Shakespeare were to write on Shakespeare, he will get that much only. That is how it is corrected. It is very interesting statistic that English as a major language in university was first introduced in Madras University. It's very interesting. In Europe, when they studied classical languages, they used to study French, they used to study Latin and Greek. Latin, Greek is the main, and then they used to study other languages like French. English was not considered a classical language to be taught at all, considered inferior. So the idea of introducing English as a language in the university was not experimented in European universities. It was experimented in India first and in Madras University first. So coming back here, in other subjects he used to get like that. So how it is possible? The question paper says 10 questions needs to be answered out of 15. So 10 into 10, 100 marks. But Ishwaran used to answer all the 15 questions within probably 2 hours. If the exam was 3 hours, he will finish within 2 hours. And he used to get everything right. So 150 out of 100 was his marks in these subjects. And when the university results were to be declared at the end of every year, so Swamiji says one day before it will be declared in the university notice board, and the next day it will come in the college maybe. So they will be every student will be very excited to know the results. So they would go to the university the previous day. So they would ask Ishwaran, are you not coming to see the result? He will say, what is the hurry? Tomorrow it will come in the college. And they go and see that obviously Ishwaran has topped the list and he is there at the top. But just to pull his leg, if they come and say that Ishwara, your name is not there in the successful candidates list, he will shrug his shoulders and say it must be a printing mistake. That is the level of confidence that he had. So that is a person who has done his action properly, who will not bother about success. So therefore, the whole emphasis of success must shift from result, which is success, to cause, which is action. So we said the motto in life should be to strive, to struggle, not to succeed. Not to succeed does not mean courting failure. Not to succeed means that emphasis is on constant striving and struggling. The joy that you derive out of doing the action is far superior and more than what the results of the action bring to you. And then the way to gain anything is to lose it. This is where we concluded. If you are able to take the thought of success away from you, success will automatically come to you. This is the law. So a person who's craving for success is going to behave like what he believes internally as a loser. Then his actions and desire will follow that thought, and he will not succeed as much. On the other hand, when a person is relaxed, by taking the thought away, he acts in the court as a winner. He enters the court as a winner. He is sure to be a winner. So the way to gain anything is to lose it. Now the question arises, so here are the golden rules of success, that success is an effect. An effect belongs to the future. Every effect has a cause, and the cause is action in the present. Bhagavad Gita says, Siddhir Bhavati Karmaja. Success is born of action. Chapter 4, verse 12. So the next question arises as to what is action? What is the right action? Right action leads to success and wrong action leads to failure. Here, action should not be understood as what you do. Suppose if a person is doing normal office work, that is not a right action. Somebody is taking a Gita class or writing a book like that, that is probably a holy action or a right action. No, that is not what we are talking about here. Any action that you do, what is the right method of doing that action? September 11, 2001, couple of planes were flown into the Twin Towers and other buildings in United States. A deadly terrorist attack it was. If you keep aside all the negative connotations to that action, if we were to analyze whether it was a successful action or not, we have to agree to a great extent it was a successful mission. But we will definitely not recommend any action like that. Robbing a bank also, if you want to do it, if it has to be successful, you have to follow the right action there also. Though we will not recommend those type of actions. So it is not what you do. We are not talking about that, what action that you do, but how you do or with what intensity you employ the right action in that field, that is going to result in success. So what is an ideal action? An ideal action has two components. An ideal action has these two components, that the action must generate energy. A right action is when you are able to generate energy by doing that action. In other words, if you contrast it with the normal action that we do, action seems to tire us. We feel fatigued, exhausted by doing action, be it a household activity, be it office activity. That is why the thought of when I will get out of action comes constantly. Thank God it's Friday. Oh, today is Friday, weekend. We look for weekend only because we want to run away from action. Nothing wrong in enjoying a weekend or a vacation, but it should not pressurize you to get it in such a way that it is only a relief. That such a person will not enjoy his weekend also. So, an action that will generate energy, meaning as you act more, you have created more energy to do more of that, enthused about doing that action. See, body may get tired, that's a different thing, but at the level of your whole personality, you want to do it more. So there is a generation of energy. And the second aspect as a continuation of that is that the generated energy is not allowed to get into unproductive channels. Energy that you have gathered should not dissipate, and then it will result as self-cancelling activity. So you will come back to square one after, meaning commensurate effort that you will put it and you will not achieve much. So these two things must go together. You must generate energy as you act, and you must also make sure that the generated energy is not wasted in unproductive channels. This thought is derived from a verse in Bhagavad Gita, which is the backbone of the third chapter. Blueprint of right action is given there, which we will see shortly. Seminar of Swamiji and success is basically derived from this verse. You know, that is the power of Gita. As I said in the last class, Gita is not a book that is meant for worldly pursuit. But if you take one verse here and one verse there and apply it in the world, you can achieve great success in the world. His stress management seminar is based on one verse, which is chapter 2, verse 2. His success seminar is based on one verse, which is chapter 3, verse 30. His leadership seminar is based on one verse, which is chapter 3, verse 21. I mean, like that it is. Each and every verse has a potential, like a power packed in an atom bomb, that you can have management principles derived out of it. But Gita is asking us to seek something far superior and far higher to it. But nothing wrong if a person is able to apply Gita even at a practical level. We'll come back to that verse. In 2001 again, there was this famous cricket series between India and Australia, in which India won that series 2-1. After a century or so, when I say century, after 100 years or so, a 3-test series was won by a nation after having lost the first test. First test was lost in Bombay. Second test is the famous test at the Eden Gardens, Calcutta, where Lakshman and Dravid turned the whole game on the 4th day. And the third test at Chennai was the clincher. Before this series, we had organized a talk for the Indian cricket team by Swamiji. And that is the time he coined this term, 3C success. 3C success is a term, and Swamiji has given talks also on this. What are the 3 components of success? The 3 components of success are concentration, consistency, and cooperation, cooperative endeavor. There's a team spirit or teamwork. Actually, the first 2 components, concentration and consistency, is good enough for you to achieve success. If you add the third element to it, it is catering to team success, where we can take this idea to organization and corporate, where they are talking about corporate success. Not only that, even if you are working independently for your success, when you bring in this element of cooperative endeavor, it adds a spiritual dimension to your success. So with reference to unit action, concentration, with reference to group of actions, consistency, and I repeat again, concentration and consistency is good enough for you to achieve whatever you want to achieve. When you bring in the element of cooperative endeavor, there is a spiritual element to success. I do not know if we covered here, but in cooperative endeavor also, in teamwork, in office, when we say, with the spirit of teamwork, there also what is pursued is individual excellence only. When that individual excellence is attributed to a larger cause, that is where I say it brings a spiritual element to it. So, pursuing individual excellence is a must. It is the way. And the main 2 components are concentration and consistency. So, coming back to the two aspects of ideal action. We said that it must generate energy and it must conserve the energy and not allow it to get into unproductive channels. So the first question is, how do we generate energy? An ideal action, if you say that you need to generate energy, the question that is asked is, what do you have with you to generate energy? Obviously, all of us know that we have these three equipments with us, all of us. We have this body, we have the mind, and we have this intellect. For those who have not heard this before, this is the basic building block of self-management. That body is your external personality. What is visible to all of us is the body. That is external personality. But within the body are two equipments. For the human being, it is called as the mind and the intellect, which is called as inner personality. Mind is the seat of your emotions, and intellect is the seat of your thoughts, thinking, decision. So mind by definition is doubtful, impulsive, based on likes and dislikes, oscillating here and there. That is mind. And the intellect is that which is decisive, which is based on reason and logic. So these are the two components that are there. Mind is associated with your heart and intellect is associated with your brain, but it is not the physical organ that we are talking about here, right? How do we generate energy by body? Body generates energy by constant action. It is a myth that physical action tires us. On the contrary, the truth is, the more you act, more you get energy. The more you act, more you become strong. Most of us who are right-handed will vouch for this, that we used to do work, we are used to doing work with right hand. The more we use the right hand has become actually stronger. The left hand is not that much strong because we hardly use it. So the more you use something, more strong it becomes, more energy is generated. You take the case of athletes, you take the case of movie stars who are constantly engaged in stunt and dance and various aspects of the action. Their body actually cooperates with them automatically. They are able to generate energy like that. Therefore, it is in our own interest to keep the body active at all times. Body has an inherent tamas in it. The components of body itself is tamas. Okay, that's a different subject altogether. So it tends to laze. By itself, it will not jump into action. Even if a person who has trained himself to get up early in the morning and do yoga, jogging, or study, whatever it is, if you miss it for 1 or 2 days, the next day it doesn't come automatically. The body tends to laze a little more. The great Holy Mother Sharda Ma says that because of some sickness or genuine reason that she lost touch with this habit of early morning getting up at Brahma Muhurta, and she said it took nearly 3 weeks for her to get it back. And where are we? So you need to constantly keep the body in constant action. When we say that, what it means is, a person who is carrying just a briefcase to his office, he goes all the way up to his office and there is somebody who is bringing it for him 5 minutes later. I mean, why will he not carry it himself? What is that which is it in India, maybe not anymore, but it used to be that when you grow up in social status, it is reflected in you not doing actions, isn't it? Even if water is there, you have to press the bell and somebody will bring the water to you, bring the newspaper to you. To that extent, it becomes inactive. And invariably, such a person loses the vitality of his body. Maybe his servants are very strong. They are very energetic. You cannot employ somebody else to do your exercises. So therefore, each and every way where you can spring into action, you have to do it. When the doorbell rings, you have to be the first person to answer it, or the telephone bell, when it rings, you should not wait for others to answer it. Keep that springing enthusiasm to act always alert in you. If at any point of time you feel that there is a light that is on in your common apartment, which is 2 floors down, somebody will put it off anyway, but you have to go all the way down to switch it off. When the thought comes, immediately go down and switch it off. That is how you have to start beating the tamas. So body must be kept active. Swamiji says, if your office is up to the 3rd floor, don't use the lift. If you have a car and you drive, keep driving. You can have a driver for convenience, maybe to park the car, but do not stop action. Do not stop action, and you can be active. Ishavasya Upanishad, we are going to study shortly. In the 2nd mantra, it says, may you live 100 years performing actions. So living 100 years and not being active will be a pain for you. So Upanishad talks about constant action. So body must be kept active. And then what about the mind? Mind generates energy by surrendering itself to an ideal or a goal. So whatever actions you do, if you are able to visualize a purpose for it, the mind believes and surrenders itself to that ideal. That itself is going to give that enthusiastic energy for the mind. How does it function? Let us take an example. If a union leader is there and he is representing the union, and there is puja approaching and the management has not yet declared bonus, and he is legitimately taking that cost to the manager, so he may bang open the door of the managing director and ask him to have a discussion then and there. Even if he is in a meeting or something, there is so much power and force in his action because he is representing the cause of the union. He has surrendered himself as the union leader for the cause of the fellow members of the union, of co-workers. So what happens? Why does it generate energy for him? When you surrender to an ideal, that circle into which you surrender, whoever is there in that circle, their energy, as it were, gets added on to you. So he is having so much power. If the same union leader were to approach the managing director to get a job for his own brother-in-law as a personal favor, he will hesitate 2-3 times before even opening or knocking the door of the managing director. There will be not energy in his action. Why? Because it is a selfish purpose that he is approaching for. The moment you look at anything from selfish angle, you lose all your power. Dasharatha, who is a great man of power, who has no fear for anyone, but he had this weakness with reference to Rama or his sons. That attachment, when it comes forth, he loses the power. That is when he sees Parashurama and trembles in fear. Otherwise, he has done nothing wrong to fear about. So wherever, even a normal person, at any point of time, if he takes a selfish view, a personal view, he loses energy. And that's what happened to Arjuna. The moment he took a personal view of the opponents there, my guru and my grandfather and my uncle and my cousin, he lost his strength, he lost his power. An ambassador of a country has surrendered himself to the nation. So when he makes a statement, it is quoted as India agrees or India disagrees. Who is India? That person who is 5 foot 6 inches. He is not that 5 foot 6 inch person. He has surrendered himself to the nation, so his voice represents the nation's voice. He has so much power. He cannot say that my opinion is this, but my government's opinion is this. I beg to differ. He cannot say that. He will be called back. So when you surrender, what it means is that you believe whatever the goal that you have set is for the right cause, and you believe fully in it, and your mind surrenders. We have discussed in surrender that surrender comes in the area of unknown. You really do not know what its result and how it is going to benefit others or whatever it is, but there is a firm conviction in you to which the doubting mind should surrender. So when the freedom fighters or Gandhiji said to some people, leave your job and come and fight for the nation, many people did it. How did that statement of Swamiji, of Gandhiji have that power? Because he had surrendered himself to the cause of nation. If that is the case, it will generate power. Having to see sometimes a small sparrow which is constantly afraid of big birds, but when it had laid eggs in its nest or the young ones has come on out of the nest, if a crow or some other bird were to come nearby, it will have that much power to force that crow to go away. I mean, it will sort of fight with that crow or any other bird and chase it away. Sparrow being a small sparrow, how does it gain that power? Get that power? It is now not thinking itself as a sparrow, it is thinking itself as a mother who has to protect the child. So it has that much expansion in itself. So surrendering to a higher ideal generates energy. And what does the intellect do? Intellect generates energy by constantly focusing all the chosen actions to the ideal. I repeat, intellect is able to direct all the actions towards that particular goal, then there is an energy that is generated. This is called as consistency. So in the 3C success, this aspect of the intellect is equated to consistency. Consistency is the way by which you are at it again and again and again till you reach it. All the actions are oriented towards it. That is called as consistency. This is a quality which is found more in Westerners than in Indians in the present level, if you see. I mean, it is relative, but I'm saying in general, you see, when a Westerner takes up something, he goes all out at it till he finishes it. Richard Attenborough, he or his brother, David Attenborough, one of them produced the Gandhi movie and the other is famous for BBC documentary on Earth, on nature, various things he has produced. So he wanted to shoot a special type of eagle in the forest of Philippines, which is a very rare bird. It comes out usually during monsoon, where it is difficult to film also, but it's very rare also. He went there, stayed for 20 years, 20 monsoons, every time he used to go, and finally he got the shot that he wanted. This is consistency. We may be brilliant individually, independently in various areas, but that doesn't count for success. That is why you find that many people who are extremely brilliant, they are good in maths, they are good in music, they are good in cricket, they are good in various things simultaneously also. But if you take the balance sheet of their life later on, they are not as successful as they should have been. Their potential they have not achieved. What is the cause? What is the reason? Reason is that they are not at one thing consistently to create an impact in that particular field to be called extremely successful. When we do Shraddha, sometimes we will recall this verse. Chapter 17, verse 3, it says, Yo yat Shraddha sayeva saha. A man is what is Shraddha is. And Shraddha has a component beyond faith, which is consistently pursuing it till the end. So even if you are average in certain things, it doesn't matter. If you take up something, be at it consistently. This applies even in spiritual field, particularly to those who Swami Dayananda calls us, those who do what is known as guru shopping. Someday they do this Vedanta class, then they go to Art of Living and do that Sudarshana Kriya or something. Then they get fascinated by Sadguru and they do the inner re-engineering or whatever he says. Then they go everything and go to Sai Baba Ashram or Amritanandamayi, they do seva there. And then they leave everything and say bhajans or kirtans. Then again they come to Upanishad study. This will not yield any result as far as spirituality is concerned. You may have satisfaction of knowing various things or getting involved in various things, jack of all trades. That's about all. If you have taken up something, you can take time to even choose, but be at it till you reach the end. That is called as consistency. If you take up, this is not to say it may sound as though you be fixated here only. We are not certainly saying that. Even if you are in art of living, even if you are in whatever, be the ashram or be the guru or be the path that you have chosen, stick to it. Be consistent about vipassana meditation. Some people go Buddhist things, certain things go. Have Shraddha there. That will take you somewhere. You will be achieving something there. You will reach certain height there. So you cannot jump one here and one there. So consistency is directing all the actions towards the goal. If you take a river, if the water is flowing in all directions, it may not generate energy. But if you are able to direct the water in one particular direction, you generate electricity. Energy is created. Wind flowing in all directions may not have that much potential. When it is directed in one direction, it generates again energy. Sun's solar power, it is powerful, but generally you don't feel that much heat. You keep a lens and focus all the sun's rays to one point. It will burn your skin. So much power it has because of focus. So are all your actions focused to one point? That is the question. Vinod Kambli and Sachin Tendulkar are extremely talented. Both of them started their career more or less at the same time. They were even playing for Bombay before. And talent-wise, Kambli is no less. His temperament was also good. But where has Tendulkar achieved and what he has achieved and what Kambli has achieved is not comparable. Very sad. Kambli also ended his career early. What is the reason? See, Tendulkar was breathing, sleeping, doing cricket all the time. Kambli, he used to be in TV shows. He used to be in advertisements and politics or whatever it is. He was not as focused. His actions were in different directions which made him deviate here and there. So this is very important. That you take up something and you are at it, all the actions that you do. When you say all the actions, not that particular action also. Business means not just business. Various other things that you do which are connected to business is also oriented towards that. Pat Cash won Wimbledon in 1987. After a long time, Australian had won. And in the interview, he said what all he did for 1 year to focus on winning this Wimbledon. So it is just not practice of tennis alone. It is what time he got up and the jogging that he did and various other practices. He maybe refrained from alcohol and partying too much and smoking, various things. What has smoking directly got to do with tennis, you may ask, but all that adds up to it. That is called as consistency. So body generates energy by constant action. Mind generates energy by surrendering itself to an ideal, and intellect consistently focuses all the action in that particular direction towards that particular goal. And in another way, in a small way, you can also say, not small way, but in the context of the discussion here, intellect also, subtle intellect you can say, subtle intellect also maintains the thought that it is he who is actually doing the actions through me. So it constantly keeps something in the back of the mind that you are just an instrument in this action that helps you maintain objectivity in the action. This is not directly related here, but as I said, it adds an extra element to success. So these are the three ways by which energy is generated in an ideal action. Then next is, how does the energy get dissipated? Dissipation of energy happens through only one means, that is your mind. It is, as I said, a myth that energy goes away through body activities. It is the mind that dissipates energy. If you have had a bad sleep in the night, you are lying on the bed, but constantly there is some dream or disturbance in the sleep, Even as you are not doing any physical activity, when you get up next day, why do you feel tired? You feel tired not because body has moved here or there, because the body was lying there for 6 hours or 8 hours. It was the mind that was constantly in motion. So that actually oozes out all the energy away from you. So it is the ungoverned mind, the indiscriminate thought in the form of the mind that dissipates the energy. And what are the avenues? Mind by itself will not be in the present. We said the action done in the present is what is going to result in success. Mind will always go into the past or the future. We have discussed this in detail when we had that session on nature of human mind. By itself, mind is like a monkey. It can never be in one place. It has to jump here or there. Where does it usually go? It usually goes into the future, anxious about the results of the action. And it usually worries about the past, mistakes of the past, or various things, worries of the past. Even if it is a happy memory of the past, as far as your action is concerned, it's an obstacle. It is going to disturb your action. A batsman who comes into bat, he is very elegantly playing and he is reached 90. At 90, what happens? At 90, the commentators say it is nervous 90s. What is nervous about 90? Because instantly the mind goes into the future 100. 100 is another number, but that number has been given so much decoration that it plays in his mind. So when the mind is constantly wanting or anxious about that future 100, or it is thinking about what all mistakes he did in the past, which invariably props up at that point of time, his mind is not able to focus on the ball, but either on the scoreboard or some other thing. Invariably, he does some mistakes there. Even if he gets some runs there, it is by fluke sometimes. And then after 100, he continues to bat even sometimes nicely. But at that point of time, what is very clearly happening is that the mind is caught up in future anxiety or the worries of the past. Gavaskar sometimes said in the interview that only after the audience clapped would he know that he had reached 100. So intense was his focus on the game. So what is concentration here? So this aspect is talking about concentration. Concentration is when your mind is able to back your action. Concentration is the ability of the intellect to keep the mind in the present chosen activity without dissipating into past or the future. I repeat, action is done by the body and the body is there, but is the mind there is the question. Concentration is the way by which you are able to back your action in the, concentration is the way by which you are able to back the action with the mind. If you are able to keep the mind in the present chosen activity with the help of your intellect, without allowing it to go into the past or the future, then you are said to be concentrating. If you are playing cricket, your body is in the field, means mind must be in the field. If you are in the talk now, if you are sitting in front of computer, means the mind must be also in the talk. Then you are concentrating. If I am talking, this is an action. If I am here in the class, my mind must be also in the class. Then that is concentration for me. If you are driving the car, the body is driving the car in the road, and your mind must also be in the road. Then you are concentrating. The moment the concentration is there, that energy that it gives to the action is phenomenal. You are extremely focused. You sometimes see the National Geographic channel when a predator like a cheetah or a leopard is stalking the prey. Intensity with which it is able to watch the prey, that is called as concentration. Even if that is why this camera team who filmed this also must be very careful not to disturb it actually, but it doesn't get disturbed easily at that point. If you see that, you see a cat which is chasing a mouse or something. These are things that we can learn from nature. Once it has set its eyes on it, this is a story of Arjuna also comes in Mahabharata, that Dronacharya asks, what do you see? He says, I see only that eye of the bird, nothing else. He doesn't see the tree, he doesn't see the people around, he doesn't see anything. That is called concentration. That focus and intensity comes, his arrow cannot go anywhere else. Action will automatically follow that. So, your mind has that capacity to jump here and there. So, Swamiji gives this example of Ivan Lendl. He was a great champion. He won all the championships in his time, except Wimbledon. He was a world number for a record number of weeks at that point of time, till later Sampras and Federer broke all those. He was a great champion. And when people ask, why did he not win Wimbledon, they give reasons like that it's a hard grass court and not a clay court. All these are superficial reasons. This is not the real reason. A person who beats all the great players and comes to the final, there he meets Becker in 1986, who is still not in probably the top 3. And next year he meets Pat Cash, who we talked about. He is also, and Lendl has beaten all the great players, come to the top, come to the final. And there he is meeting Becker once, 86, Pat Cash 87, both times he loses the final. This is not grass court or clay court. This is because of his obsession for winning the trophy. Way to gain anything is to lose it. He did not lose the trophy in his mind. He was catching hold of the trophy. So instead of concentrating on the ball, he was visualizing the cup there, which is not there. Visualization of the cup comes before the start of the tournament, not during the game in the court. This is what exactly happens to most of us. When action is being performed, the mind tends to get into the future fruit and starts indulging in it. You lose the concentration in the present. And remember here, in the definition we said, the mind has to be in the present action. With the help of the intellect, it must be there. Meaning, in certain areas where it is its own light, the mind goes by itself. In a way, you can say you are concentrating, but that is not the exact definition of concentration. Sometimes, some people take the dog for a walk and they hold the chain, but the dogs are so ferocious that it pulls the master and goes. So actually, dog decides where the master goes, but still he is holding the chain. You cannot say, I control the dog. It is like that. Mind goes by itself in certain areas of interest, particularly in sensory perceptions. That is not said to be concentration. Where your intellect says, this is what you need to do now, and the mind follows it, that is called as concentration. So if you are able to clip off the past and the future and engage yourself in present action, you are said to be concentrating, and that is a key component of success. And third point is a small point, but it is also important. Excitement over present. A person need not, in rare case I am saying, need not have worries of the past or anxiety of the future, but when action is done, something in the present happens and he gets excited about it. And that itself is a dissipation of the mind's energy. So, like a person has constant ability to talk and he constantly chatters, but when you put him on a platform, he fumbles there. Nothing of past worry or future anxiety, but the present excitement that he is talking to an audience itself could create a feverish excitement in the present. That is also a dissipation. So, 3 points with reference to generation of energy. Body is active, mind surrenders to an ideal, and the intellect is fixed in the ideal. Consistency. And concentration is when the mind is not allowed to dissipate the energy through future anxiety, worries of the past, and excitement over the present. If you are able to combine these 6 elements, success is guaranteed. Success is absolute, and no force on earth can stop it from coming to us. What is interesting is all these are power packed in this one verse. So concentration is intellect directing the mind to the chosen action, and consistency is intellect directing all the action to the chosen ideal. So unit action, concentration, group of actions, consistency, and the third aspect, as I said, cooperative endeavor is the attitude to action, you can say. Bhagavad Gita chapter 3 verse 30. This is what we discussed today. Blueprint of right action. Mai sarvani karmani sanyasyad dhyatma chetasa nirashir nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigatachvaraha. Renouncing all actions in me, with the thoughts resting on the self, free from hope and attachment, fight without mental fever. What a great interpretation by Swamiji. That is what you need to understand, how the message is derived from there. You have to see the context of the verse and where it is placed. My sarvani karmani, renouncing all actions in me, surrendering to the mind, to that ideal there. Me represents the highest ideal of the self here. Sanyasyad atma chetasa, with the thoughts resting on the self, intellectual focus upon the action. Nirashi, free from hope, no anxiety for the future. Nirmama, no attachment from the past. Yudhyasva, fight. The body must engage itself in constant action in the spirit of fighting. Vigata jvaraha, without the feverish excitement in the present. Such a power-packed verse 30 of chapter 3. Thank you. No problem. We will take up any questions if you have.
Hariom Ramas Masad here.
Yeah, Hariom Bhajan.
I had a question.
Yeah.
You mentioned that we should be very clear as to what we want.
Right.
So, in a scenario where we don't know what we want, as Swamiji says that we really don't know what we want, and the general interest is the person wants to evolve spiritually, but at the same time there are a lot of worldly desires. So, if you are not clear what desire to kind of target to fulfill, is the method what is given in olive tree, like you do your obligation and surrender your desires, basically not zero in what we want, or how do we deal with that scenario?
Okay, so since you have mentioned that generally there is a desire for spiritual evolution, most of us, even as we join the academy or those who are pursuing spirituality, they hit upon it as to not clearly knowing what is the pursuit or what we really want in life. See, most of the times what we pursue in life are also not based on our own volition, that it is set by others. If a person is various milestones that he crosses, like going through university or earning money or getting married, begetting children, raising family, going to office or pursuing career, all these things probably most of us have not thought about it. We do it because that is set for us in motion by the predecessors, family, society, peers. This is what we follow. And then when we hit a block there, or when we find ourselves, what to say, going towards a dead end, or not very happy with our own pursuit and monotony sets in, that is where the pursuit itself comes as to what am I really doing in life, all those things comes. Then when you say a spiritual pursuit or evolution, that angle is introduced to our life. But yes, when you say do your obligations also, you must be very clear as to what the obligation is. Obligation is based on the ideal only. Okay. So when you are clear about what is the real pursuit in life, when the Guru comes and says that pursuit of self is what is meant for, this human life is meant for, it gives sort of a direction in life. But then if you ask a person what is your goal, if you say self-realization, or even at the relative level, self-development, if you say, these are very vague terms. What do you mean by self-realization? We are only repeating what the masters are saying or what the scriptures are saying. We really do not know what it is. We are not very clear. It has, and by repeating again and again and again, we may be convinced about what we are saying, and it is not wrong also. We are not saying anything untruthful, but we really are not clear as to what it is. Even when you say self-development, what is it that you are doing in life? You cannot say I am doing self-development in life. What is it that exactly you are doing? That is what you need to clearly define for yourself. So when you are sincere in this pursuit and you are yearning for it, what happens is that certain things that you want to achieve in life opens up for you. You are then going to fixate an ideal or a goal or what you really want to pursue in life, opens it up. When your thoughts are oriented towards it, it will be in line with your swadharma, it will be in line with what is passionate for you. So that how it comes out, that is a separate topic by itself. But then when we talk about goal or ideal, we are not talking about these abstract terms, but we are talking about certain specific terms which can be translated into numbers. Even when you say self-development, you must be clear of what self-development means for you. So suppose you say, I want to spread this knowledge. Again, there also be more specific. I want to take this class, or I want to gain mastery over Gita in the next 3 years, or I want to sell books of Swamiji. And there also be very clear, I want to sell 100 books. It doesn't matter if you fall short of your ideal also. It doesn't matter. But be very clear of what that ideal is. So it is better to have something in ideal and fall short of it rather than not having anything to pursue at all. This actually evolves over a period of time and then gets fixated. It is not that one fine day you get up in the morning and you have an ideal fixed, suddenly something comes in your mind and that's the goal for your life. Nothing like that happens. So it has to be in translatable numbers like
Om Poornam Adah Poornamidam Poornat Poornamudachyate Poornasya Poornamadaya Poornamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.